What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Tuesday Nights Live. My name is Jay. Top auto logistics video news connecting retail, wholesale, logistics, and tech. Your auto transport community media since 2017. Please do feel free to leave a like. Oh, I don't have my bell. That's right. I have this. There we go. That's nice. Click copy, share, grab that YouTube link, tell your friends. Leave a comment below. Try something new. Please do feel welcome to tonight's show on ATI. It's Tuesday Nights Live. And we're going to do some auto logistics news, as we normally do in our first segment. I've got some used car week recap. CarGurus CarOffer is in the news. And the UAW vote impacts. Well, we're going to decipher that together. We'll see what's going on there. We're going to go into a feature interview with Adam Laura of ACERTUS. We're lucky to have him. ACERTUS was talked about a lot at Used Car Week, so this is perfect timing for that. And then we're going to fill out a panel with Joe Bercari, Midwestern Car Carriers, and Royce Neubauer, CEO of Auto Hauler Exchange. That's going to be cool, so we're going to do that. So let's go ahead and jump into some auto logistics news. As I said, Adam Laura, VP of OEM and Strategy. Shout out ACERTUS. Thanks so much for taking the time to join me tonight. Now, you know ACERTUS whether you're a carrier, a dealer, an auction, or an OEM, you know the name ACERTUS. So whatever part of the ecosystem you're in, you're familiar with ACERTUS. In fact, you look at the platinum sponsors, and there's ACERTUS at Used Car Week. This is a big company that's being talked about. And so we're, again, lucky to bring them into an ATI time capsule here on a Tuesday night. This is the ecosystem's neutral zone, so we're very lucky to be looking at the full ecosystem, new and used, OEM, auction, dealer, and services. And we follow the disconnect between sales and operations. So we are, we're a full functioning channel here. And by the way, join us Thursday. Carrier Vetting for All is on Dispatching Live on Thursday. Really excited about some of the new look here of the digital bell again. And there it is. We are delivering auto logistics news. So here we go. Let's get started with the news. Only 3 minutes in. Welcome to Tuesday night. Just pile right in. Thank you so much. Grab some popcorn. And, and I have that too. Okay, great. Let's see what we got. I did want to take a moment again to look at ACERTUS. If you have a question for ACERTUS, if you want to learn more about ACERTUS, if you want to stay tuned to all the growth happening at ACERTUS, this is an episode for you. Vehicle transport, title registration, vehicle storage, care services, home delivery, vehicle repossession. There's a lot to ACERTUS. There's a lot to know. It's not just car haul. This company serves dealers, OEMs, auctions, upfitters, e-commerce platforms, and personal vehicle shipping, fleet management company, rental car companies. Remember the news? ACERTUS acquired RCG Logistics. Well, tonight, I hope to learn a little bit more about that with Adam. If we look at news at ACERTUS, Volkswagen chose ACERTUS for their railhead logistics in Illinois. That was news in May on automotive logistics. Recently, ACERTUS launched an update to their TMS platform. We're going to learn more about that tonight as well. And I encourage you to post questions in the live chat. If you missed the show live, put it in the comments below. If you were at Used Car Week, you saw Trent packed a room. Now, Trent couldn't join us tonight, but we're lucky to have Adam Laura here in lieu of Trent. But there is a lot of information, and people were hungry for it. He shared slides. Shout out Lindsay Creech at ACERTUS in marketing. Put these slides together. Digital retail home delivery. There you got rail, OEM, ship to the dealer, different size trucks, right? And that's another area where, ACERTUS knows logistics as well as software, as well as dealers, as well as auctions, as well as titling, and on it goes. It's a lot. So we're lucky to have Adam here. This is not a commercial, but rather a chance to remind you of all the things that ACERTUS does. Thank you, Used Car Week, for last week. People are still talking about it. a great agenda and expo hall and the attendees. People are sharing photos on social media because they had such a great time networking and learning and sharing. I shared some slides on social media myself, and in fact, thank you, Run Buggy, for putting ATI in your booth. Oh man, how sweet is that? That's real. Okay, that's so cool. I had a panel. I hosted a panel, and we did fundamental marketing logistics questions. Full house. That was an awesome panel. Rooms were full. We were talking about building the bridge for lenders to improve remarketing logistics, which is an important topic, which again comprises repossession, transportation, legal issues, privacy. This is why I say, the ecosystem connects. And you take notes like crazy. You got things to remember. And I've got my notepads over. I've been replying and following up with people I've been networking with. That's what kept me busy today. And just one slide like this. Right? You see this and you're like, man, this is just new retail. Automakers, brands. My gosh, the automotive industry, there's so much to learn. That's why I do 2 shows a week. Why not? All right, so let's talk about CarGurus to fully acquire CarOffer. Latest news. Now, I'm always looking at acquisitions and trying to learn more about why. I'm not the expert, but I want to know. I want to impart what I know and then try to learn beyond that. CarGurus announced it entered into a definitive agreement to acquire the remaining minority equity interest in CarOffer for $75 million through an all-cash transaction. CarGurus had acquired a 51% stake in CarOffer in 2021. With the ability to buy the remaining equity interest over the next 3 years, the decision to expedite this purchase reflects CarGurus' goal to capture rising opportunities to strengthen operations between the 2 platforms. The company noted that the acquisition also helps to accelerate plans for solutions that power its development of a transaction-enabled platform supporting dealers and consumers through every stage of the automotive lifecycle. I realize, right? You're like, okay, yeah, you had me for a minute there, and then you lost me. Jay, what are you talking about here? Well, I do want to mention CarOffer founder and CEO Bruce Thompson. He'll step down. Bruce was all over social media for quite a while with CarOffer, and good for him. He is probably going to make out like a bandit here. That's awesome. Just saying, Bruce, awesome. And Zach Hallowell is now CarGurus' new head of industry transformation. He'll transition to lead the CarOffer business. Would love to talk to Zach. That'd be great to learn more. So let's take another look at it. CarGurus, right? You can buy a car, you can sell your car, and even in the dealer sessions, you'll hear Doug Haddon said it. If you don't have a window on your home page offering to buy somebody's car, who cares that you sell cars? Offer to buy the car. It changes the way you can look at the whole transaction. And then CarOffer, which does wholesale among dealers, automating inventory, connecting buyers, sellers. So now, yeah, those 2 are together. That is really interesting stuff, and it makes you consider, okay, what business am I in, and who should I partner with? What could I acquire? Who could acquire me? How could this work out to my benefit? So I'm always interested in acquisitions. Let's go to UAW news. Louisville Ford workers vote against UAW contract. We knew it wasn't going to be all celebration, right? There was going to be some pushback. Wait, we still needed to vote? But I already drank all the champagne. Well, you might want to pull the confetti off the floor. UAW deal with GM losing among production workers after 3 big plants vote no, with more than 17,000 votes in out of possible 46,000. 51% of production workers are against the proposed contract. Sounds just like the American election. 49-51, 50-51. Is there a hanging chad somewhere that's going to decide this thing? General Motors production workers are narrowly voting against the automaker's tentative contract agreement. Workers at GM's Lansing Delta Township. Then it starts to break it down, just like in the general election. Wow, this looks just like it's just like America. More than 2/3 of workers who voted at GM's plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee, were opposed. Wow, and it breaks it down by, production workers versus skilled trade workers. Ford production workers in Kentucky vote against a tentative UAW contract. Ratification of the contract was voted down by 55% of the production workers. 69% skilled trade workers approved it. So you start to see, wow, what's in this thing, right? Members of UAW Local 862 represent 12,000 workers at 2 plants in Kentucky. Workers at Louisville Assembly. And this is where we have Joe. We have Joe Bercari in the panel tonight. So Joe, please make a note. Put a pin in it, Joe, because I want to talk about UAW. I want to understand it better. Then there's Stellantis and where's the $1 billion EV stuff that they didn't move forward. But of course, Biden's in here saying American workers are ready to work harder than anyone else. Sure. Stellantis declined Michigan's $1 billion offer of EV battery plant. How does that fit in? I don't know. And that's why I bring it up. I start reading this stuff and it gets out of control. And look at all these incentives for Stellantis to build in Michigan. Million here, million there. Oh, I'm sorry, 300 million there, 500 million there, and yet they still chose Indiana for far less incentives. Now, they said the Indiana economic development officials pointed out its relationship building in South Korea as its success in winning the Stellantis Samsung SDI project. Samsung. Expected to create 2,800 jobs, plus the regulatory climate and overall business conditions were a factor in companies choosing Indiana over Michigan for its initial investment. Of note, in the UAW stuff, Mack Trucks to hire replacement staff if the deal is not approved. Mack Trucks. So what other suppliers are on the line? How deep does this go? It's a good question. I also want to mention, I had this news story up my sleeve about a week ago, and I think it's important. I was talking to Skip Kavanaugh recently. He couldn't be on the show tonight, but talking about truck transportation jobs dropping again, MC authorities dropping off, and yeah, that should worry you. You don't want to hear that these cuts and losses of, your suppliers run too deep, right? The car haulers. And here's a guy, but people are interested. Here's a comment on ATI. Where does one look for getting OEM work? Who are the major brokers who move a lot of OEM freight that we can contact to get our foot in the door to stay more steady? Gee, I wonder if we have any brokers on the show tonight who move a lot of OEM freight that can be contacted. I'll tell you what we'll do is, I was thinking of, I could say, I didn't reply yet. I could say, watch tonight's show. I wasn't sure. I don't know. I didn't want to impose, yeah, Jay. I just want to say this, and Joe, I want to hear about this too. Jack Cooper acquiring assets of Yellow Trucking bankruptcy. What's going on with that? That was hard to understand. It was about as complicated as the UAW votes. I'm not going to lie. So, thanks for taking the time. Oh, just don't forget, leverage ATI in your business. I don't ship cars. I ship information. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Take a quick break. Go ahead and put a pin in it, Joe. I'm going to start saying that on more shows. Have an ELD punch. Do me a favor. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Really? Does the sound okay? Is that all right? All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this with Adam Laura, VP of OEM and Strategy here on ATI. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Transport Auto Quoter is by far the leading auto quoting software on the market, and the only auto quoter with a pro version that comes preset with accurate pricing for anywhere in the U.S., so you don't have to worry about it. The best part is that no change with your current software is needed. Just plug TAQ in and start booking jobs. Carriers can easily plug TAQ into their current websites and start making money right away. I bet you're wondering how we do this instantly and accurately 24/7. Well, constant analytics is the key. Our PriceWatch team is constantly monitoring current market conditions, paying close attention to seasonal and quick-moving industry changes. At the end of the day, it takes a lot of time and data to maintain good pricing, time that most of us just don't have on a daily basis. So free yourself up. Using TAQ Pro is really a no-brainer. Save time and money, maximizing your leads and optimizing your online investments. You'll finally be able to sleep well at night knowing that TAQ is on the job selling for you 24/7. Never missing a potential job.
Imagine car shipping without obstacles. We did. The new ACERTUS TMS puts the most powerful data-driven logistics in your hands, so moving a vehicle from point A to point B is a breeze. Our transportation management system delivers faster speed to market, with instant access to carrier capacity, quick quotes for standard and expedited shipping, seamless single and multi-VIN ordering, real-time GPS tracking, advanced digital inspection data, automated and customized reporting. And that's not all. See how far and fast you can go with ACERTUS. Sign up for your free account today.
We are back here on Tuesday night on ATI. We're lucky we have Adam Laura, VP of OEM and Strategy of ACERTUS with us. I just want to thank everybody for jumping in the live chat. And look at that. Thank you so much. Mark Grodeke. Making martinis in the super chat. Thank you so much for doing that. It really means a lot. Happy fall with ATI. All right, here we go. I know we used to say hello in the live chat for a while, but we got to move this show along. People are busy. And so here we go. Please do help me wish a very warm welcome to our friend Adam Laura, VP of OEM and Strategy at ACERTUS. Adam, can you see me and hear me okay?
I got you, Jay.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you taking the time and agreeing to hang out with me. And then we're going to stay on for a panel, too. But before we do any of that, please say hello to the ATI live audience and tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, for sure. Welcome, everyone. Excited to be a part of the show. I've been listening in for the first 17 minutes, Jay. It's been a great show already. You can tell it's a really interesting time in our market across new and used and whatnot, but we'll dive into that. So just a little bit about myself. I've been in the industry for 22 years now. I know I don't look it, but I have been in the industry for a little while now, between 3PLs, and I work for ACERTUS, formerly Metro Logistics. Been with them since 2014. My primary focus is working with the domestic OEMs, but I do dabble in the remarketing space and the dealer space as well. Lead a small team, and we go out and try to capture as much market share as we can, and change the way that people move cars and the way we work with customers. So really excited about the time, excited to talk about the topics that we've discussed prior to this, and looking forward to meeting the other guys and having a great panel discussion.
So, all right. So, wait, did you say 19 years in automotive?
Well, since 2001, I graduated college and basically right out of there. So we're about 22 years now. I've been
wow.
I've been in the industry.
It hasn't beaten you up too bad yet, then. So that's good. That's awesome. No.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good gig over at ACERTUS. We've got a good work-life balance, but we have a lot of fun, and that's how it started over at Metro Logistics with our founder Scott Nays and Bill Billiter. Rest in peace, Bill. But we had a great crew where we were a bunch of cowboys. We were coming in and we were shaking it up, and we signed a bunch of contracts and moved a lot of transactional freight and worked with a lot of dealerships, and we had a lot of fun. And then we started getting a little bit bigger, and people wanted to invest in us, and we've gone through a couple different acquisitions, and here we are. We've got some really exciting things going on. We've got great leadership at the top, and everybody's bought in. At the end of the day, it's like the Detroit Lions. You got Dan Campbell, and you've got everything that's going on there, and everybody's just bought into the team, bought into the system, the philosophy. Same thing over at ACERTUS. Everybody's bought in, and we're just looking to continue to grow and gain market share. And just, you can see we're doing things organically. We're doing things inorganically. We're acquiring companies, and, we're trying to just expand our buying power, our reach. We're trying to service as many customers as we can, because at the end of the day, we're a service company. And that's what we hang our hat on, and that's what we have fun with is doing the right thing, for our customers out there and doing it the right way.
You said you've said the word teams a couple times, and I wanted to talk about teams because that seems to be one of the areas where not only does it give you a chance to learn more about a company? And I don't want to get into any secret sauce, because I also had heard somebody say, well, what types of teams do you have? How large is this team and that team? You got your outside team, your inside team, right? There's teams comes up a lot. And I'm pointing that out because that is what makes an organization what it is. Teams.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. And more important than the teams, I just think it's collaboration. If you can't have cross collaborations between your internal teams, your external teams, your customers, even your competitors, everyone who we do business with and who we compete against, it's important because we all learn from each other. So, like Jim Harbaugh says, the team. That's the most important thing there is the team, and everybody buys into that culture, because without culture, without collaboration, we'll never have that competitive advantage, because, we have to be humble enough and we have to be nimble enough to be able to pivot and change our way of thinking and just really work with each other, because we have young people that come up through the ranks that join our company, and we've got, seasoned veterans that are in our company as well. And we're always learning, we're always pivoting, and we're always trying to get better.
So, and then since you have a deep bench within those teams, you need the structure so team members can substitute for each other when need be, right? Because you're managing a lot. I mean, as I went through the news, dealers, auctions, OEM, you mentioned remarketing. You've got personal vehicles, FMCs, rental car companies that now repossession, which then now you've added another team. If you want to move into RCG now, or there's so many directions to go. Where should we go?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, we can start wherever you want, Jay, but we can start with RCG. That's been it just happened not too long ago, but it's such a big win for us as a company. Vic and team over there, they did such a great job building their brand and penetrating their markets. And those are markets that we weren't great at. At the end of the day, we could have bought companies that had similar customers as we did, and try to buy up their market share that they would, that we would compete with. But at the end of the day, this was a strategic move. So, because you think about it now, I mean, with the amount of defaults on subprime loans right now, with the way the repossessions are, starting to go up, with the voluntary trade-ins, because people are upside down on their vehicles, they can't, they just can't afford them with how high interest rates are, how high cost of living is. So we acquired RCG, and it's been such a home run of a fit so far, because we're able to penetrate markets now, like in the financial space. We're able to, penetrate different, moving other types of, they're in the freight world, right? We're going to be moving freights. Certain teams within our business are going to manage moving freight. We're going to be able to move RVs and boats, and really work on the salvage and the repossession side of the house. And those are areas that we really didn't dabble in at a high percentage, prior to RCG. We did a little bit here and there, but it takes us, helps take us to the next level. So really joining these two great companies has been a big win so far.
That leads into Used Car Week, because there was a lot of auto repossession business, professionals, agents, recovery talk, panels. I think more than I can't even name a time. So the timing with RCG, I think it speaks volumes that you saw that. That, how they talk about Wayne Gretzky watching the puck where it's going?
Good point.
Somebody at ACERTUS saw where the puck was going.
And
early enough to do something about it, and then it's I think everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, no, it's someone clearly has a vision, and it's all strategy at the end of the day, and that comes through what we talked about before: teamwork and collaboration, and bouncing ideas. But shout out to Bill Zadites and the Cherokee Media Group for hosting and putting on just a fantastic show. Our team came away from that show more energized than ever. And for anybody that was at the show, ACERTUS was recognized, right? We were a sea of orange. We had an army there. It was the big introduction of ACERTUS and the acquisition of RCG, and our joint forces in hand, and going there and really just having a great time. At the end of the day, we had a great booth presence. But what you said a minute ago, with all the different customers that are potential customers, the amount of people that came up to our booth just to inquire who's ACERTUS? What do you guys do? You guys are all over the place. We're in panels. We're in speaking engagements. We have multiple colleagues that were getting awards. We're all over the place. And, our goal was to go in there and make a splash. And at the end of the day, do it the right way, have fun with it. And I believe, we hosted the cocktail reception on Tuesday nights. Who doesn't love a free drink? I'm sure they were there to chat with us too. But at the end of the day, we had a lot of fun with it. And we're looking for big things to come out of there because we have a team that's been established. We took on the best of RCG and we took on the best of ACERTUS. We joined forces and we're positioning people in the right seats to really go out there and penetrate the market, really go out there and capitalize on what's going on in the industry. And really, at the end of the day, it's build enough customers. And for your audience here, Jay, is to create enough product that we're moving on a daily basis to keep your carriers full, keep our carriers full, because carriers are really our most important asset other than our employees. So without great carriers that we work with on a daily basis, we wouldn't have the customers that we have today. So we're really thankful for that community. We're really thankful for, they have the hardest job in the world. I remember when I was, this was probably 15, 20 years ago, and one of the companies, that big car carrier, I got to go to their yard and load a truck. And I'll be honest with you, Jay, that was one of the scariest things I ever did. So what these guys do on a daily basis.
Totally.
Yeah, backing on these rigs, backing off these rigs, doing it in the sunshine and the rain and the wind and the snow. It's just my hat's off to them. Hardest job out there. So we appreciate that community.
Well, I also want to point out the truth is that you all are approachable too. Like, I know many people at your company now, from Trent to Paul, you, Terrence, John Howland. I met Julie at the show, and I'm able to talk to everybody, and like, that goes a long way. When a company is unapproachable, I think we can all name, companies or just members that they seem unapproachable. You keep that, and it's amazing because your company is big enough and influential enough to where if you can stay personable and maintain that business, no wonder everybody's talking about ACERTUS. But before we go to the panel, let me ask you this. So what's going on with the TMS update? Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a big thing. I mean, we were back in 2010, we were the first to market with our app when apps were relatively new in the space, and the OEMs were really pushing it from that side because at the end of the day, they want to be able to get rid of the paper, be able to track and trace vehicles. So since 2010, we've just been evolving our technology. We've been improving on our overall tech that we push out to our internally, but push out to customers as well as our carriers. So the TMS is important because it does a lot of things. There's a lot of benefits. It's a self-service portal. We get quick quotes for our customers. They can place orders from one to a multiple order shipment, hundreds of vehicles. It's basically the Amazon effect that it creates, because now for a customer that places their order, they're wondering, where the heck's my vehicle? So we've got the ability to create breadcrumb trails and real live tracking and tracing on vehicles, so customers can always know, hey, where's my vehicle at? When is it going to be here? We'll have real live ETAs, not too many years ago, that was pretty much of an unknown, in our space from being a technology enabled company, for customers knowing where their vehicles are. So that's really important to us. Customers gain instant access to the largest network in the United States. So we've partnered with 10,000 carriers that represents 25 to 30,000 power units all over the lower 48 contiguous. So we've got a large network of carriers out there that we partner with, and that's important for customers because you don't want to be a small mom and pop offering a TMS that's got a small outreach to carrier network. So we tout it. We're the largest, plus with acquiring RCG with their network of carriers, their customers, our network of carriers and customers, we've become the largest full-scale vehicle logistics solution, life cycle of vehicle out in the industry. So the TMS does a lot. It can be customized reporting, it can be auto updates, increased visibility and shipment status, their spend, their claims management. So plus they can track all their history too. So It's a great tool for small to medium-sized businesses or dealers that we're promoting this to. And then we also have another system behind the scenes that's for the larger, the mega-type dealers that we customize as well.
Well, luckily I speak software because I know there's a lot. It's hard to talk about software without kind of demoing it and showing some screens. So yeah, I threw you a curveball there. That's a tough one. But in essence, you have a lot of software. And I do want to say this too, since I got the live chat up on the screen, is that this is cool. What's happening here tonight is that you're here. We've got folks that do haul cars here. There are other people. There's other sectors. Dealers. Dealer tech. This is cool. Dealer tech tunes into ATI. It took me a little bit of research to uncover this. They don't say much, but there are a lot of dealer tech reps and companies that actually tune in. They open the email, they check out the show, and I know this from Used Car Week, coming back to that, is that a lot of people tune in, and you know this from being at a booth in the expo hall. You don't talk to everybody, but they see you, they hear you, and the fact that we're even collaborating tonight, I think speaks volumes. It's a good sign. So let's do this. Let's move into an engaging panel. You got time for another segment?
Yeah, love to stick around. Thank you.
All right, cool. So, all right, do me a favor. Stick around, Adam. What we're going to do right after this is we're going to bring in Joe Bercari, Midwestern Car Carriers, who knows OEM. And then we've got Royce Neubauer, CEO, Auto Haul Exchange, who knows tech and freight and brokering. This is going to be a great panel. And we're here to learn, share, collaborate, and build that bridge. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Yeah, so let's be honest with it. Everybody, as an operator, like myself, we're always looking to save expense, okay? And so if I can get a product that is just as efficient as another product and yet save a ton of money, that's what I'm going to do. And so I think the value proposition that Dealerslink offers is unmatched, right? For what we spend on Dealerslink, for what we get from Dealerslink, full spectrum, the marketplace's support, the OEM data, the Fastbook tool, the mobile applications that you have, the value proposition is huge. And I definitely would recommend, I have recommended, we are continuing to install it into our stores as we speak.
Request a live demo at dealerslink.com now.
Are you ready to take a leap into the future of vehicle logistics? Auto Hauler Exchange is the first pure B2B marketplace in vehicle logistics, where shippers and carriers live and work directly in one ecosystem with no middleman. Shippers simply post their shipping opportunities directly to highly vetted carriers around the country. Once a carrier sees a shipment opportunity which fits their need, they simply check that shipment out of the exchange with just a few clicks of a button and with no third-party interaction, getting your vehicle on the road with ease. We have proven our B2B marketplace is a more efficient, transparent model for vehicle logistics, where shippers and carriers connect one-on-one. Take it from our clients themselves. Get off the vehicle hauling roller coaster today with Auto Hauler Exchange.
Auto Haul Exchange, B2B marketplace, connects shippers directly with carriers, and that means putting the power of the business transaction back in the carrier's hands. Visit autohaulerexchange.com. Thanks for hanging on, jumping in the live chat, saying hello, leaving likes, and making it rain. Here we go. This is cool. We're going into the panel now. Drum roll, please. Please do help me wish a very warm welcome to our friend Joe Bercari, Midwestern Car Carriers, and Royce of Auto Haul Exchange. Gentlemen, can you see me and hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear. All right, Joe, I saw you in here first. Joe, please say hello. Tell us a little bit more about you.
I'm Joe with Midwestern Car Carriers. I've been with them since 2019, and my job is to handle all general operations for the company.
Perfect. And Royce, please say hello. We know you, but please say hello for any first-timers.
Yeah, Royce Neubauer, founder and CEO of Auto Hauler Exchange. I've been in logistics and supply chain for roughly 23 years now. Kind of aging myself like Adam tried to earlier, but he looks a lot younger than I do, so he's doing better than me.
Adam looks the best. He looks great.
Well, he's been in vehicle logistics. I started out in freight for 20 years.
That'll age you like crazy.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Hey, and by the way, Nexus dropped a large bill in the live chat. He's going to leave it there, so thank you so much, Nexus. Wow, that's cool. All right, so we're going to move into our panel discussion now. There's a lot on the table, and I've talked a lot. Does anybody have something they want to say based on anything? News?
I got 2 pins.
Oh, wonderful. Down, so, yeah, let's go to the pins.
So you tell me when you want me to go on.
Yeah. No, Joe, let's go to pin number 1. Let's do that.
Okay. First pin was the UAW contract. And it's kind of a prickly subject because, excuse me, this was a really unprecedented contract, a lot of very different things than what we've seen over the years. Typically the strategy for the UAW and the company has been a little bit different. And so this was without a doubt, a very different negotiation. I'm not going to comment on the outcome of it at this time. I think that's probably premature because at this stage, the parties haven't really ratified it. The committees came up with a contract that they felt was workable across all 3 of the manufacturers, and they sent that back to the membership. And now it's in the phase where the membership is reviewing all of this and deciding whether or not this is something that they voted for. This is, remember they voted this team into existence in order to be able to negotiate this contract, and it's going to be whether or not they feel like they negotiated on their behalf. And I think that's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out. There have been a lot of yeses, and there have been a lot of no's, and I think that some of those yeses are resounding, and maybe some of the no's too. So I think the next several weeks is going to determine a lot about whether this was deemed to be a successful contract or not, from both the manufacturers and from the UAW and their membership, and whether or not they feel like their needs were met and that what they were chasing was satisfied.
Royce will return. I feel like it's a yes. I don't know. Anybody else want to chime in there? And I don't know how this directly impacts my life, but Joe, this does have a deep impact, right?
Big time. Well, so what's interesting to me, and I go into the details a lot, is that if you look at the differences, a lot of times, to the outside viewer, the UAW is just this big nebulous thing, but it's actually comprised of several segments. You've got your line workers, your skilled trades, and so on and so forth, and that's where all those tier 1 and tier 2 things and all that complicated minutia comes into play. And what's more interesting to me is who voted yes and who didn't. The people who voted yes tended to overwhelmingly be the people who were tier 1 and would be elevated and escalated to a tier 2 status. A lot of the current tier 1 people, they didn't that voted no, seem to have voted no at the places that they voted no. When you dive into the details, you find out that it tends to be a lot more about like local issues and particular things that happen in that locality, or particular things that happen with that particular plant that they feel like were either addressed not enough or what have you. Conversely, by the way, and again, I want to be balanced here, a lot of the places that voted overwhelmingly yes, these places felt like it was near unanimous. You'd see the people on the skilled trades and on the tier 1, tier 2, they were like, thumbs up, we're in, green light, let's go, we're ready to get back to work. And that has had so the differences are very, very stark and kind of deafening, and I think it bears more study. This time next year there will be people doing college treatises on labor theory about what happened with this contract and whether it was a net win or a net loss for who and that kind of stuff. I think a lot of things changed this year, and it was really fascinating to see. As a student of the industry, I would say this was a really, really good one to watch, and more information I'm sure will come out later on that will, even further, validate or, or decry the outcome of this particular contract.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. I like the way you, when things are looked at as case studies, it adds to the depth of what there is to look at. Labor theory.
Well, people, labor unions and companies, I mean, at the end of the day, it's groups of people. It's not much different than political communities and stuff like that. It's just that there's a particular common goal in a business that is driven towards, and perhaps the similar or perhaps differing aspects on how to get there. And I think that when you drill down to what was hammered out in this particular contract, ultimately the question is whether or not we feel like what we got is something that we needed and that we can live with until the next negotiation, which, by the way, is really not that far away, only like 4 years and change. So, sometimes people are quick to say, oh, we didn't get enough in this contract. Yeah, but 4 years from now is not that long in the scheme of things. If you're a person who's just starting out in this industry and, you've got 15 more years to work, you got 3, 4, 5 more contracts in front of you where, hopefully the things that you feel are important can at some point become addressed. So, a lot of that goes into this kind of thing. It's really all about local issues, in my opinion. It's really all about, kind of the local priorities and those sort of important local things. And there's a sort of a half pin. I put the pin. You didn't. I did. I put a pin in one of your comments about, why was it that, that this particular place was more favorable than that particular place when an agency decides to invest in, a battery plant or, this and that. And the other thing, it's really not all about just that top line of, we'll give you, to make it ridiculous, we'll give you $1 billion.
Yeah, clearly.
So that way. It's not about that. You got to remember, there's a much, much larger picture. The infrastructure matters, whether goods and services can be conveyed, whether the community can even support the amount of inbound or outbound logistics that exists. It's great to have $500 billion worth of incentives, but if you've got the yard the size of a postage stamp, it'll cost you 3 times as much to be able to operate out of it, then, those incentives become rendered meaningless. Or there are also other concerns with local government and whether or not you've got a pre-existing relationship with those governments or not. So, again, back to the core point, local issues, local relationships, local decisions really, really matter when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Royce.
I would agree with Joe there. I think the Indiana versus Michigan decision there had more of an aspect of a governmental decision rather than an infrastructure decision. But I want to go back to the previous comment, Joe. When you're talking about UAW contracts, we know this is going to increase the cost to make goods, right? The cost to make vehicles goes up. What do you feel the trickle effect is to the carrier? Because just being in logistics as long as I've been, typically when the cost to make goods goes up, there's a squeeze point. And the squeeze point always turns into the spend center. What spend center can we cut off? And just from my experience in vehicle logistics and freight, the first place they try to cut is on logistics. How do we cut the rate? How do you think that's going to impact freight rates or vehicle logistics rates around the globe, or more or less here in the U.S.?
Well, this is a very complicated subject. Freight rates, and I think I get roped into one of these conversations just about every time that Jay calls me on here about this. But so look, the freight rates today, there you can go online and there's a fantastic resource called fred.org, and this is a federal database that has about a jillion different indexes and stuff like that, and all of them are vaguely related to the federal economy and stuff. It is a a really fantastic resource if you have the time to just go and do some clicking around. And I happen to be on that resource today for a couple of reasons. And one of the things that I was looking at had to do with the general cost of freight. They have like an index that shows what's the average freight rate as it tends to go. Yeah. They sort of peaked around 2020 and 2021. And we are kind of in a valley at this point. So let me say it a different way.
Right. We're in a valley.
We started.
This is just a bit of a gully, as they said in the Big Show.
We're on the bottom hill of a roller coaster, right? And
by the way,
that's how I've always described it.
It doesn't take much to do this research. By the way, also about every week there's some carrier who is small to mid-size, whether it's just a brokerage carrier or a fleet heavy carrier or some other LTL thing or whatever. I mean, it's easy to get soaked up in the big stories about like these massive carriers and their goings on and all that. But there are a lot of very small businesses that have fallen victim to to the susceptibility of the market right now.
Yeah.
And right now, and one of the things that you keep on, at some point in time, if you hear the same thing over and over and over again, it compels you to believe it's probably true. A lot of them are saying that headwinds, interest rates, the cost of capital, and declining
Insurance,
freight rates that
parts.
Manufacturing,
service costs, parts costs, everything. Right? Yeah.
That all falls into it. There's a rule of five when you get into this kind of thing. Yeah. So every job that's impacted has five more that are impacted, and each of those five have five more off of them. Absolutely. The whole of it is tied together. But you keep hearing these stories about these companies and, that sit there and say, you know what, we've been around for 90 some odd years and we've just never seen an environment like this. And, freight rates are going this way and costs are going that way and, all that other stuff. And it's true, they are. There's no doubt. I mean, you just have to go to the grocery store to put that point out. So that's not rocket science, but there is probably going to be a little bit of gnashing of teeth as a result of these decisions. I think that's really what it just boils down to, is that there's going to be some gnashing of teeth. As with many things, our market will adjust and our economy will follow behind it. There will probably be some strain. There will probably be some anger. It's really going to be up to the real performers to be able to survive it. And what does that boil down to? The second most popular thing that I say on this every time that I'm invited. I'm not even. Go ahead, Jay. What is it? Relationships. It's all about relationships.
I was going to go
relationships
back to the
with your customers.
You were on twice in the past 60 days, I think, or more.
I know. And every time it always comes up. Yeah. It's all about relationships and being able to look at your customers in the eye and explain, and have them believe you when you say this is what's going on. This is what we need.
And you have to have a working wage, right? I mean, I think anybody that studies the craft the way you do and Adam, there is a cost of doing business. There is a working survivable wage. And if you're just constantly driving down that market, cutting throats, people are going to go out of business. I mean, a resource we use is obviously FreightWave is a great resource. I mean, freight volume is down 30% year over year. Rates are down over 25% year over year, right? They're saying MC numbers are failing at a 30% clip right now.
30%.
That's who you're talking about. That's the small mom and pops. It's not the yellows. It's not the convoys. It's the mom and pops that are disappearing.
Well, now, them too, but yeah.
They exploded 2020 and 2021, right? You saw, MC numbers just popping left and right. We were setting up new carriers left and right with brand new MC numbers. And a lot of those companies that didn't have enough time to build those relationships are the ones that are dissipating today.
Well, there's more to it too. So you're absolutely right. I think that no doubt that's a factor, but there are a lot of factors too. And I think again, you really in this industry you really have to have a very nuanced approach to be able to see look at the relationships of things, and the cost of insurance has done nothing but climb since 2019.
Well, the cost of trucks in 2021. I mean,
20% every year.
Yeah.
next year and the next 2 years, probably put it in an envelope, going to go up 20% every year, whether we like it or not. If it doesn't matter if the next president stumbles across 10 trillion gallons or whatever metric unit they use of liquid vibranium, the damn thing, they're going to go up 20%. It's going to happen. So, that these things are also part of the equation, and that there is a failure rate that's also expected. I don't know what that norm is, but also too, and we talked about this a lot over the years that I've been on with Jay, is about these people that get into this business buying a pickup truck and a steel trailer, and thinking, I'm going to be making it rain here just in a minute, and doesn't quite work that way. That's the same person on the Facebook chat group that's saying this broker is squeezing me out of life and limb, and so on and so forth. So
I want to say thank you, Questions Imposed. This is a top-notch topic, which I doubt can find continuation there. What I wanted to say is that I want to thank. I'll let you guys go here in a minute, but I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation, in that there's a lot of growth and change, but there is a lot of tough as well. I mean, Joe, you just said gnashing. Woof. There'll be a lot of gnashing away. Adam, what's going through your mind hearing these guys talk, and you're on this ATI panel? You got to be thinking, Trent, what'd you get me into?
No, I mean, both of you guys, you said a lot, and the market and the world we live in. The only thoughts that keep going through my head is, who's going to win, who's going to lose, what's the tipping point? Because at the end of the day, when you're talking about, because I just paid my insurance bill for my cars not too long ago, and I'm like, geez, they keep going up at if you're paying thousands of dollars for trucks, at what point is it like the cost of doing business just not worth it anymore? When diesel fuel prices was skyrocketing, and your insurance costs are going up, and labor costs are now going up, and we're going through the UAW issue. There's not as many vehicles that are being shipped right now. There's just so many things that impact our daily business that when we do squeeze, there's always reasons to squeeze. It's because we need to keep the lights on. We need to be able to pay our employees. We need to be able to, to keep chugging along. So I love the one thing Joe said is it's all about relationships. And I think that is so spot on, because there's been so many times that, when we were a younger company as Metro Logistics, we used to rely on transactional work, and it wasn't always there. And, we were called the garbage men of one of our customers. It was a good thing. It was a compliment, because we would take all the big stuff, all the crap. And I just said, we've got to be there through the bad times, just like we got to be there through the good times. I can't just disappear. So you guys touched on so many things, and those are the things that kind of go through my head. Like, I'm really interested, we're upon election year next year. How are things going to pivot, once we get a new leader in the office, and so on. So it just, at a certain point, the scale needs to stop tipping, and, it needs to tip more in our favor and the people's favor. If, people want to be able to, live a good life and be able to afford things.
And comments on that, and they're actually notes that I already had, but I don't want to monopolize the show. I'm just
going to say this: the 70s. Somebody sent me a video. Is it the 70s all over again? And as
no.
Okay, good, right? No. Go with Joe. You say something. Not the 70s.
So one of the comments that Adam made was about the car sales. This is one of my notes that I wanted to make sure I brought up today. There is sort of the measure of our industry on new vehicles is called the SAAR, Seasonally Adjusted Automotive Retail Sales, and kind of an interesting thing. Again, that was one of the reasons I was on that Fred website I mentioned before. Right now, our current sales is 15.9 million per year. Now this is an adjusted rate. So in other words, it takes a snapshot of last month's rate of sales, and then applies it against a rolling 12 average of the previous 12. And that's how it sort of, figures out. It smooths out all of the crazy, well, it's crazy sales month in March, and it's, it smooths all that stuff out. So our current sales is at 15.9 million per year. January sales were, interestingly, 15.6 million per year. June, just 6 months ago, 16.6. Now, what do all those numbers mean? Well, for perspective, the average sales per year in 2019, pre-pandemic, when the world was normal, was 17.0. So we, at our peak this year, were only 400,000-ish units less than the normal world. My question to everyone here, does it feel like that to you? Sure as hell doesn't to me.
No, and it doesn't on the back end as well, because to get a used vehicle, you have to have enough used vehicles to replenish people's lots, and people need to drive them and turn them back in. So we see it on the back end as well. It's very hard to come across vehicles. Then when supply was low, what happens? They raise the rates, and they try to charge a lot of money for their vehicles. So it's just a cyclical effect. My belief, new car drives the total market, because your rentals are going to replenish they're going to defleet, replenish their lots. Your FMCs, your all your different customers like that. So without new, you're not going to have as many new used down the line. So yeah, I agree with you, Joe. It just doesn't feel like it.
No, and I don't think it's because there's more capacity on the market either. The ATA has said for the last, since I've been in trucking, 20-some years, has said that we have a driver shortage. It's a driver shortage. It's the worst it's ever been. Next year is going to be the worst it's ever been, more. And the year after that, it's going to be so bad that, bunnies will stop multiplying or whatever the hell. So, I will say that there are less Class A CDL drivers out there, and I think that is a serious problem. I think that that's as much a demographics problem as it is an economics problem, and I could probably, debate people dying about that for hours. But the point of this is that, I think that there is less capacity in 2023 as a whole than there was, as an aggregate in 2019, and yet for only 500,000 units a year difference, which is not that big of a swing in the scheme of things, I feel like we are way less busy this year. But remember, this is a current 15.9 million is a current, and that's taking into account the disruptions from the UAW strike that have happened for the last 6 weeks. So, seems to me like, that things just don't feel right. I don't know what's going on with the economy, but again, things just don't feel right.
I think the weirdest trend in 2023 was there's been big surges, right? We've seen massive surges and then big fall-offs, where typically those happen over years. It's happened over months.
Yeah.
We'll see a massive pop and just extreme volume, and then all of a sudden it just falls off a cliff. But I kind of want to go back to the macro point that Adam was touching on earlier. We're in a difficult time, but at the end of the day, I think the vehicle hauler is kind of facing the toughest road ahead, even potentially tougher than COVID, because when you're looking at an increased cost to make the vehicle and a friction of raising vehicle hauling rates, shipping rates, nobody wants to raise rates. So who's going to survive? And I definitely agree that relationships is at the key of that, but it goes a little deeper than that. It's the partnership that you can develop between the shipper and the carrier. And how do you bring value to both parties? How are we going to drive a relationship where I'm bringing enough value for my shipper partner by not necessarily driving down the shipping costs, but driving down other ancillary costs for them? Are there back office costs that I can figure out? Can I get that car to the lot front line much faster than my competitor, to where the shipping rate itself doesn't necessarily come down? So now the carrier still gets value out of that relationship, and the receiver gets value because that car gets there faster and they're able to sell it quicker, recondition it faster. I do think you have to develop a true partnership, and you have to have people that are honestly, masters of the craft that are not just looking at moving the vehicle. They're looking at all the other ancillary costs behind the scenes and how do we drive out some of those costs to keep that freight rate up for the driver. So it is I look at it as a puzzle, and that's what sucked me into freight 23 plus years ago. And I love, putting together that puzzle every day. And I think we're involved in a situation here where you can create some awesome solutions for carriers around the country and some awesome solutions for OEMs and dealer networks around the country. Or you can look at it as a problem. I look at it as an opportunity to succeed and find value and find opportunities to help our carriers thrive through this downturn. And we've always done that on the freight side of our business is, how do we help them thrive? How do we get them through it? How do we help them grow through it? And we're looking at this as an opportunity to provide different solutions. And I think it's in the toughest moments where you see, companies create big solutions that kind of change an industry, right? And I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for, the three of us and many other companies to really find those solutions to possibly change the way cars are moving forward.
Great.
I want to just take that and finish with this is that one of the things I have as I looked at the expo hall and many conversations is that on carrier relations, this could be an interview series, how does each company actually build carrier relations within their organization? And I don't mean strategy, but actually, through phone calls or whatever it is, that human touch. On my repo panel, we talked about how I think I said it in jest, but it actually is true, is that with dealers and auctions, there's donuts and going to the location and getting to know everybody. But does that ever happen at the repo lot? Right? And when I've seen some larger asset-based carriers, throw a barbecue or whatever it is for some of the drivers, and that stuff's awesome, but how much of that happens? And what's the outreach? What's it look like? And not just having a barbecue, but someone being able to make a phone call, talk to somebody. I think carrier relations, as we move farther into wherever this is going, actual carrier relations. I should set up a company called actualcarrierrelations.com.
Well, I think, Jay, you're leading some of the charge on that, right? I mean, I can go back to Used Car Week and the panel we were on. How many people would have had Rod on that panel? He's a great. I mean, he was great. But they're a smaller carrier, right? And I think people forget that it's the smaller carrier that make up 90% of the volume that's moved in this country. And when is their voice going to be heard? Who's supporting them? Who's asking them what their problems are? Because their problems are different than the large fleets, vastly different, right? But they are the backbone of logistics in this country, and whether it's vehicle logistics or freight. So I thought, Rod's perspective was phenomenal, and I think more of that is needed.
I totally agree. He had said, "Hey, what? I don't have any notes. I don't know what I need to talk about." And I was like, I just said to him, "Tell me about transport mode." And he went.
What's your life like?
Yeah, exactly.
How are you surviving? Yeah.
Yeah, which is great because that is a perfect place for a segue onto another conversation, another time. Thank goodness I can't cover it all in one show. I wouldn't have any more shows. So, just, problems help you in your business. Royce, well, they help me too. And we're here to fix them. We're here to talk about them, to dry things out into the light. So thanks for helping me do that tonight. This is episode 320 in a row on a Tuesday night.
Congratulations.
Right. What was that self-congratulatory statement, Jay? Listen, put a pin in it, Joe. I want to thank Joe, Royce, Adam. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Really appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks for being here. Nice to see you guys.
Thank you so much. And live chat, appreciate you. All right, what I'll do is I'll end the meeting there. Good night, gentlemen. And I want to thank you, live chat. I want to thank you, everybody, for whether you're live or on demand, for tuning in to ATI. I had a lot of people come up to me at Used Car Week and just get random, great job on the show. Thank you so much. Hey, man, I watch, and it was cool. Really, really cool. 7 years in to, yeah, I don't think I had to explain the channel to anybody. Maybe one or two guys, that, live under a rock in some, remote island. No, really, it was wonderful, and I thank you for tuning in, saying hello. I appreciate the support. Thank you, Superflow Systems. Thank you, Nexus. Whether you're making martinis in the super chat, or you're contributing, or you're commenting, or you're saying hello, thank you so much for doing that. Really appreciate you. Murphy Auto Transport, Transport Auto Quoter, Dealerslink, Auto Hauler Exchange, and ACERTUS. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. Really do appreciate it. Please do join us next Tuesday night for show 321. I think it's going to be a good one. Still working on it. And hey, shout out, no joke, Trent Broberg, CEO of ACERTUS, worked really hard to help me put together tonight's show, and that means a lot. That's real. Yeah. Thank you, ACERTUS. Really do appreciate it. So more conversation. Let us know what we can do to help. Actualcarrierrelations.com. Coming soon to a website near you. Thanks for tuning in, saying hello. Here comes the car hauler. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Thursday, motor carrier vetting for all. Join us Thursday. Thank you.